first layer of rain painting. So this is what it does. I'm actually going to muck up my scene because I could just fix. So I get onto my scene and get into painting. And as you can see there, I've got several layers, but the first layer is black. It won't be black, it will be visible. But you need to sort of paint a texture. If you, it needs to be filled by some sort of texture. And if you fill it with one of these other ones, like the sand or the grass, it does actually have a sort of slight residue of that texture. So it's best to pick a solid texture. And yeah, with that code in there, by being really small. The only thing I hate about Unity terrain tools is it's really hard to get them down to the things you want with the sliders. You have to just put in a physical count. That should do it. Right, so now, in theory, when I press the left button, yeah, there we go, I'm starting to paint a hole. You see what I'm doing here, the grass, the details are still over the top. I'm not going to remove those at the moment because pain. You can see the hole there. If I put something under it so you can actually see it's a hole, aka sphere. Why is that all the way down there? I focus then, you press middle mouse button on the terrain and it's supposed to focus. But obviously its focus and my focus is two different things. Right, so now you can see this is actually visible underneath. Well, it's actually under the terrain and it's visible. So that's the first stage anyway. But if I'm to press play now, oh, by the way, you see when I was doing that hole, it went in, I couldn't actually paint it that finely. It was like 4 blocks that it actually painted. That's because of the splat size on the terrain. And when you if you've upped the resolution of the terrain texture, obviously those splat sizes become smaller, and then you can paint, a more detailed hole. But that's why I dress the hole, because then you don't really need to worry about the splat size. Now I can't even find the hole I just painted. Oh, there it is. Just want to show you it's not physical. Just there you go. I'm on it now. Can you see I'm on the? It's not very good lighting, but I'm actually on the hole now, and I can't go through it because it's not physical. So it's a bit hard to see with this lighting. I wonder if I can just turn up the sun a little bit just for this. There you go. I turned the sun up just temporarily. So now you can see I'm on that hole, but I'm not falling. So, right, so what you do is you need our terrain hole punch component. And that is just basically create an empty in your project. I'm going to call it hole punch 2 because I've already got one here. Hole punch 2. And then add a component which is terrain. I think it's called terrain hole punch. The terrain hole. There we go. Terrain hole punch physics only. And add that, and straight away it put that in the wrong place. I wish, like I say, Unity would focus the same as what I want it to focus on. Let's bring that here. Basically, all this is a collider that automatically gets triggered as your avatar walks into it, and you can change the size of the collider. So you want to just make it the size of your hole. I haven't tried using different colliders yet. This automatically, the train hole punch component automatically adds this collider to your empty when you add the component. And so I've only used it as a box, and because I'm dressing my holes as well, I didn't feel the need to actually try and make a a hole, physical hole, exactly the same shape as the hole that I'm putting in the brain. It's all being covered. Um, you'll understand more what I mean if when you actually try to attempt this yourself, or if you do. So anyway, so yeah, that is covering the hole now. I think that should work. I believe you have to kind of do it, have it the height of the avatar. So the avatar's got to be where you're going to walk into the hole. You've kind of got to walk into the hole collider inside it. So you kind of want it, to at least be the height of the avatar, uh, and the rough shape of the hole, which is about that. So now when I press play, I should be able to walk over there and fall through the terrain. Okay, we'll do the same as what we did before, so we can see what's going on a bit more. Brighten it up. Come over and find my hole. Where are you? Oh, there you go. I didn't even get to see the hole before falling through it, but there you go, proving it's working. I fell through the hole. So that shows it's working, basically. I hope you guys all saw me fall through the hole, because I didn't actually see the hole coming up. It caught me out. Cool. Right. So anyway, so that's the making of the hole. So now we get on to the next bit, which is using the Pro Tools. I'm actually going to quickly paint over my hole again, because I don't like leaving holes in a train, health and safety and all that. Right, where is it? Paint a bit of grass on it. There we go. Cool. That's that one painted over. Right, so I'm going to turn off my other one. As you can see up there, there is my pre-built hole and a cave already inside it, which I'm going to turn off. Oh, what's going on there? That's a bit annoying. Let's hope that doesn't stay there. Ah, that shouldn't come back now. Yeah, yeah, cool. Right, so, but the next part of this tutorial is Pro Tools, and the first thing you want to do, the Pro Tools are now sort of they've been bought by Unity, and they're part of the package manager on 2018 Unity, and you just come down to Pro Builder, which is this one, and I've already got it installed, but so all I've got is a remove button, but that remove button would say install normally up the top there, top right, and click on that, and that's it. It installs for you. I'm also going to be using Polybrush, which is another Pro tool. And there's one final tool. I'm not going to probably be using this today. I might show you it after I've done this tutorial, if there's time afterwards. But ProGrid is basically makes it much easier to snap things in Unity, because yeah, the Unity default snapping's not great. So yeah, it can be very useful if you're trying to line up lots of things and stuff. But yeah, once you've installed Pro Builder, anyway, you see in my Unity scene view, I've got this extra thing up the top. You see, it's like a little panel. You see me changing it now. Um, that is actually the controls for modifying the mesh. Like this first one's the whole object. The second one is modifying vertices. The third one is modifying lines. And the fourth one's modifying faces. A bit like Blender. I mean, a lot of stuff I'm doing, everything I'm doing today, you could do in Blender uh, or any other 3D program. But like I say, it's much nicer to actually be able to do this on the back of this hole. And It's not just lining it up to the hole either. It's this Unity terrain is changing. So if I built the inside of the cave in Blender, I might come into the world, put it in the world, and it pokes out the back of this mountain, which I don't really want it to do. So, like I say, this probably the perfect scenario to use Pro Builder, build something in the world. So right, I'm going to start off with a cube. Pro Builder is much like Blender in that way. There's many shapes you can use. You've got a whole list of different shapes here: stairs, um, arches, torus, all sorts of shapes, general shapes, and more than Unity's got a standard as well. But we're just going to go for a cube and build it. Uh, I want to focus on here and then open that again. See if I can get it to focus where I want it to. No, it's still determined to not focus wherever I want. So let's get this out here. Now it's over there. Come on, cube. Here we go. There's my cube. Now, the first thing I want to do is size this up a bit like I did the whole terrain punch, to be bigger than this hole that I've got in my terrain. Oh yeah, by the way, just so you could see, this is under the terrain. So right, I'm going to scale this up, just using a normal Unity scale tool. So, the other thing with Pro Builder I forgot to mention is it always puts its pivot point down in one corner, which is kind of quite handy. It's handy for pro grids because you're always snapping to the edge of one of the snap points, and it's handy for scaling because I can move this over here to the side of my hole and then scale up. And instead of scaling all sides and me having to move this cube again afterwards, I won't have to. But another thing I found out while setting up for this tutorial, I didn't realize this, ProGrids can actually import any mesh into it and actually change this. And then it will export a mesh filter out. So you could change the pivot point in any piece of mesh, even something you've bought off the Unity store and that might have not been created properly. So it's kind of really useful for that. Right, so anyway, I'm going to scale this up. We want to scale it there, and we want to go up. And like I say, it's doing exactly what I want, rather than me having to move it afterwards. You obviously can tweak your entrance afterwards as well. Want it to go out a bit? Oh no, I do have to move it. I know something I've just done wrong as well. This is quite important. I'm going to go back down. I want to scale this all in one go, all sizes to be even. This is going to affect the topology. I want I want the topology to be the same. The topology is sort of basically on this cube. Why am I not seeing the vertex? Maybe because I haven't built it yet. Wait, so if I say build now, get off there. Now I'm on the right one. Yeah, the topology is the quads and stuff in a mesh model, and at the moment it's just one quad per side for vertex. But I'm going to subdivide it as I go on. I'm going to subdivide it several times as well in different stages, do different things in each of those stages to keep the topology quite nice throughout the whole process. So, right, I'm going to move this back into the hole now, roughly where I want it, and then we're going to go the other side. And right, so where's that? Oh, it's because I'm underneath. Yeah. So what I want to do now is extend this side, obviously, to make my tunnel go down there. And you could do this just by hitting this side and going like that. But the problem is that's a quad on this side. It's one whole quad, and all I'm doing is stretching that quad out and mucking up the topology. Basically, it's not going to be right, especially when I start subdividing and there's other objects later on, like the bigger part of the cave. The topology is going to all go wrong. So how I'm doing it is extrude instead. And with Pro Builder, it's Control E, a bit much like Blender. I think, yeah, same in Blender. So I hit Control E and I'm going to extrude a section, and I'm going to do each section exactly one of those blocks, which is quite handy. The Pro Builder's default texture has those blocks defined in there, so it makes it quite easy. I mean, you can when you're extruding these, you could like get to this one and say, right, I want to change the direction, so I'm going to rotate it slightly before I extrude it, and then you could extrude it, and then you'll be going down a hill. Oh, that's weird. You can't change the pivot to global or to local. You probably can somewhere else, but it doesn't really matter. You can like move it up and down like that. But yeah, I'm just trying to generally keep the topology right, the same all the way through. So I'm just going to straighten this one up and do them straight from now. So we'll do a few more. Get the cave a little bit bigger, or the tunnel towards the cave a little bit bigger, just to give me a little bit more room. Okay, so I'm going to start building the main area of the cave from here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude one more time. But this is going to be the start of the cave, so I'm extruding out from this one. So I'm going to extrude that way. Extrude again. Do a couple the other side. And then we're going to go up. I'll start here. Screwed up. Oh, that's weird. Just noticed, yeah, see, I have sent my topology slightly out there because of the way I duck down. I mean, there is a few, you'll get used to it and work out ways you can tweak things that go wrong. Hopefully it'll still be pretty much the same size quads all the way through, if I judge this bit right here. And yeah, we go up at that one, that one. In fact, no, probably actually better to not do that and extrude them all in one go, because you can multi-select. So hold shift down, do all three, all five, extrude. That way it's probably going to be linking all of those together as well, which probably wouldn't have happened if I hadn't done it that way. Although, I mean, there's lots of things you can do afterwards, sort of linking together and playing with UVs, and you can get really advanced with it. So I'm just going to extrude all of that out into a couple, and that would be the base of my cave. One more extrude, and there we go. There's the base. And inside it's wrong at the moment because it's the wrong way. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to flip the normals on the whole thing, which is another thing that Pro Tools can do. We go into here and flip normals. There we go. So that's up the left-hand side, this control panel. Oh, by the way, this control panel up the left-hand side as well, you can change it to an icon mode. See all icons, just right click on it, but because I'm still learning Pro Builder myself, it's easier in text mode for me, so I can see exactly what each one says. Right, so now we're going to do our first subdivide. to start bringing in the shape of the cave a bit more before we even get to the next tool, polybrush. So I'm going to subdivide it once, and you'll see. And see how all of those squares are pretty much the same all the way through. That's because of the way I extruded it. If I hadn't done that, it wouldn't all be even like that. In fact, you'd have really long, stretchy ones down that tunnel. And it'd make it really hard later on to deal with things. So the first one, I am actually, I might actually undo that and do my first bit of editing here. I was going to edit in here, which I need the second extrude, the second subdivide for, but here I don't. So I'm going to do a little bit of editing here to bring in the top of the cave. So I'm going to click on here and I'm going to click select edge loop, which selects the whole thing. If you hold shift, by the way, when you're going over these things at the side, it will give a nice little explanation of what each one does. I did actually have the shortcut for edge loop, but I've forgotten it. Never mind. I'll remember it some other day. It doesn't need to have it. So I'm just going to bring in this top of the cave like that. I'm going to do the same over here. So I'm going to select that one, select edge loop so it gets the whole loop, and that part of the cave a bit. Same here, select edge loop and bring it in a little bit. And select up here. Oh, no, forgot to do the edge loop thing. And bring that in. So that's kind of got a little bit of shape to the cave. Obviously you don't have to do this exactly the same as I'm doing it. You can make your cave any shape you like. I'm just trying to do a quick, realistic looking cave. I need to speed up a bit because I'm running out of time. Didn't realise it was going to take this long. Right, so now I want to do the subdivide that I was going to do a minute ago. So change back to selecting the whole object, do the first subdivide. And now we're going to go in and do the same thing as what we just did in the main bit of the cave, but in the tunnel. Don't want the tunnel to just look square. The more organic you can make it look, the better that your cave's going to be. And do the same the other side. Select a loop, bring that in. Okay, right. So I'm going to subdivide one more time. I want to bring in the corners of the floor a little bit, but I only want them to come in a little bit. I don't want like whole this square size to be pulled in. So I need to subdivide a bit more. And then I can do this to the bottom of the cave. Again, select edge loop and just bring it in. Loop and just bring it in. Edge loop. Bring it in. And edge loop. And bring it in. Oh, and that one, edge loop. Bring it in. Did I do that one? Yeah, I've already done that one. And you can do a few things like, you know, you could say select those. Actually, I'll do it with faces. I could kind of select these faces. Oh, pressing the wrong button. And bring something out like this. You know, caves aren't, you know, symmetrical and round, you know, perfect shapes and that. You can just bring up shapes wherever you like, really. Just select a few here, bring them up slightly. You do all these things make your cave look more real. Just adding little defects everywhere because a cave, like I say, is not perfect. So bring defect down there. But you could go into this a lot more. I don't really have time today to do this in the tutorial. So now we're going to move on to the next stage. And the next stage is polybrush. And this is the other pro thing that I imported. And you can use this, you can use polybrush almost like a terrain tool. So you could actually make a Pro Builder plane and start molding a terrain, but it's not using Unity's terrain, you're using Pro Builder instead. So you've got tools like raise and lower, um, got tools like smooth, you've got the texture paints, different textures on your terrain. That's another shader I actually had to modify to get to work, but don't worry about all these shaders and the complicated part of changing the shaders, because I supply all of the shaders after the tutorial for anyone that wants them. So anyway, yeah, I'm going to use the smoothing this time, and you just put it into smooth mode and play around with your brush. I'm quite happy with the brush like that, but you can change the outer size of it or the inner size of it. It's quite simple. Change different parts of the brush. The inner to the outer size is for fall off, so you can actually have it so it paints solid in that inner circle and then kind of falls off to the next part on the outer circle using this fall off curve. But yeah, you can just go along with this in smooth mode, and you see I'm just smoothing out those edges, getting rid of those corners, just generally trying to take away hard edges. It's a great tool. It could be used for so much more than what I'm just doing today. This just seemed like a good example of what it could do. So yeah, I'll just do a little bit more painting, not too much, because I've got to get to the texturing stage in the next 8 minutes. Because like I say, there is no exact science to this. The main point about this is how to use Pro Tools and how to punch the hole through the terrain. The actual building your cave, you could do however you liked. You could make a whole load of passage networks instead of just one tunnel to a cave, a big cave. You could have it a maze under the terrain if you wanted to. I think that's a lot of people that do under terrain or underground scenes. They are usually a labyrinth, and you get lost in them. So just do a little bit more to that. A bit more here, and then we'll probably call it a day on the actual moulding of the cave. Right, so that would do for my just roughness of the cave. Now I'm going to pop the actual hole. Oh, why can't I? Oh, I know. Out of that. If you ever get stuck in sort of polybrush or something, just hit escape, and then you'll sort of get out of it. So now I'm just going to get rid of all of these quads, so we actually get to the outside. Can I get that one? Yeah, okay. And then you delete these in here as well. Cheers, delete faces. There we go. 16 faces deleted. Now we can see outside. So now the next stage is the texturing. So again, we're going to do it with polybrush. We're going to use a special shader that I pre-made, like I say, and which I'll give to you guys. This one. Put this one on. It's now polybrush is going to see the textures. Now I've got the actual right shader on it, and I can literally paint these textures. So I could go flood and flood, which it has done with that one automatically, because it's base texture has to kind of put something up there. And then I'm not going to use all of these in this tutorial. Basically, I just wanted to sand. Obviously, you see lots of caves and they've got a bit of sand path coming in through them. So, and you use the painting exactly the same as the smoothing. It's the same brush, and you can just start. Oh, I've done one mistake. I didn't take it off fill, and now it's filled the whole area with sand. Didn't want it to do. Go back onto there, fill it with rock again. Go back onto there, and then click brush. So I can just paint a bit of sand. So now I'm painting sand down the tunnel. I should be using my space mouse. It's a lot easier. I can do it while I'm painting. There you go. And that's painting that. And do a bit more inside here because obviously this torch isn't pushed into solid rock, or well, it might be, but it might have taken a lot of time to do that. So I pretend it's in sand. There we go. And that is a kind of it, I believe. I think now I could hit play outside and come and investigate my cave. I must have done something wrong, but we'll see. The torch is in there for the lighting in there, and the torch is a particle torch that actually has got a particle light on it. So the light actually changes in. There we go. So, oh no. This is the one problem. You've got no jump in the editor pack. So you can't jump. There we go. And look, now I'm actually walking inside the terrain. Here's my cave. There you go. I mean, like I say, I didn't spend much time on doing these edges. That you can see one straight away there. I could have smoothed that out a lot better. Kind of see how it smooths out better. Yeah. And then as things can go wrong with the topology as well. If you look here, sorry, not the topology, the UVs. If you see here, that's gone wrong. I should have actually shown you that before changing from the Pro Builder texture because you can actually see it going wrong on the Pro Builder texture. But Pro Builder's got this UV part as well, and it's very good. And what I can do here, I can quickly make this a lot better by I will select all. Oh, where have my poly tool, Pro Builder tools? Oh, because I'm in play mode. Because yeah, yeah, right. So I can make it a bit better quickly by selecting the whole thing. Sorry, selecting quad and then selecting them all. And now you'll see over here is the Pro Builder UV editing window. There is tons of stuff you can do in here, but what I'm going to do for a quick fix is I'm going to convert the UVs to manual, and then I'm just going to change them to box projection. That should be enough because it's basically unwrapping it like a box. So now if we have a look, well, you can't really see it here. We're going back into play mode. And you should find that pretty much you'll still see seams in corners and stuff at first. You know, you need to spend a little bit of time on it, match up seams and get it perfect. I'm a bit of a perfectionist. You might not even care about what I'm talking about, but yeah, I like to try and cover every seam that I ever see. But as you can see, it's much better straight away. And if you look at the floor where it was all wrong before, it's all right now. One thing I forgot to show you. Right. So that's all right now. The UVs are right, but there's one thing I forgot to do. Very much like Blender, this is kind of quite a low poly terrain, and you could physically see where I raised out of the ground just by the torch. You know, you could see it was a flat surface. What you can do, very much like Blender, you can select all the quads, and there's a part of Pro Tools, Pro Builder called smoothing groups, and I've already got the smooth open here, the project window. And all I have to do is with everything selected, I just have to click one of the smoothing groups. That's it. That's just put everything into that smoothing group. So now, if I play it again, come in here, You might still see the shape because I am using quite a low poly. You know, you could have subdivided quite a few more times if you wanted to. But those um, those shapes that you could really see because it wasn't smoothed, now it's doing the trick of the shader trick, and it should have smoothed them out a little bit. So they don't look like such a harsh edge. There you go. It has worked. See, that looks like a nice rounded lump in the floor now, rather than those harsh edges it had before. And and I mean, and that's it. I mean, I could have gone a lot further into this. We actually started late and then Paul did his little bit at the beginning, and um, yeah, we've ended up running out of time. It's actually quite enjoyable doing it as well. So every time I've done it, I've actually lost track of the time that I've been doing it with. Oh, I don't know what that is. That is some sort of lighting defect, or something. You did that is the problem with this. I mean, when you do it, depending on how you made your mesh or different things, you might have to deal with something like that. I could probably run lighting right now, um, or I know that is something to do with the UVs. I could play around with that for a while and get it right. In fact, my last cave, the one I've hidden, I show you it's actually perfect. Let's unhide my other one. Hide this one. So let's unhide this one and hide the one I just made. And you'll see, press play again. You'll see that the one I just made, the one I made previously didn't have that. Yeah, I don't know what caused that glitch. But I don't have time to work through it in this tutorial. I mean, if anything like that happens, right, you know, I could probably help you out why it did it, but there could be many reasons, and probably just baking the lighting would have fixed it. See, this is my other cave, the one I'd already made. This one I spent quite a bit more time on as well, getting all like the corners and adding shapes to it, and sort of, yeah, and basically not see any corner. And that's it. That is the basic tutorial. I mean, it would have been nice to have had longer, but I wouldn't have wanted to bore you guys. Yeah, it's amazing how much time that took up without it. Just it feels like it just was about 10-15 minutes for me. But yeah, so there you go, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Yeah, I like I say, I would have liked to spend a little bit of time getting a, a, doing a bit more editing to the inside of my cave, but I did look at the clock and realise I was running out of time, so I had to speed up a little bit there. But yeah, well, my plan is actually the reason I'm not going to upload this region is because I made a Gaia region. Obviously, I just made it the standard size, and I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it again. I'm going to make a much smaller region, and I'm going to collider it off so you can't walk out of the area really, and just call it the cave. And it's going to be mainly about the cave. It's be a lovely little beautiful area like this. I mean, the other thing you can do as well with is things like this. I added this ivy, and that's another free asset, believe it or not. That's actually on GitHub. It's a bit like the paid one, but it's free. It's called Hedra. Yeah, I will give it to you afterwards. Yeah, it's oh well. Let's see if I can find it now because I could put it in there. So, yeah, Unity GitHub Ivy should find it pretty much straight away. Yep, found it's called, and yeah, I'll put the link in here. Um, there you go. And yeah, that's a free asset. The torch is free as well. Sidearm. I got that out of the Unity Particle Packet 1. So it's the old particle package that they've got on the asset store for Unity 5, but it does work in 2018, as you can see, and it's actual particles doing the lighting as well. Particles actually can resonate light and which is quite good. If you want that torch site, just ask me if you ever have a project in the future, or anybody here wants it. Just ask me and I'll upload it for you. Yeah, uh, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
I have a question.
Yep.
Okay, so first of all, kudos, whatever you're saying in chat, brilliant tutorial. I know the time is out, but just uh, a reminder that if you kind of recap the three top steps you did, like Julia Child used to do, then it helps newbies like me remember. But I'll go watch the video. Number
Yeah.
two, uh, when is the Dwarven treasure coming next? And number three, that's it. Thanks. Over and out.
With the dwarven treasure, yeah, I actually was thinking of putting a dragon in there, telling everyone I've made it, and then putting something in there that's going to scare you when you actually go down the cave. But yeah, some gold, yeah, because I mean that's where dragons do hide in caves and stuff. The recap, one is you need to be me and actually work out how to actually create that hole visually in the train, but you don't have to worry about that because that literally took me 2 days to work out how to just paint the hole. Forget the component and the physics bit. It took me 2 days of research. But now you guys don't have to worry about that because I'm just going to give this shader to anybody that wants it. And then you have to use the Unity component, which is terrain hole punch, over the same hole, collider. You've got to extend it to the size of your avatar and the size of the hole, and then there will be a visible hole in the terrain. And then you've got to get install your Pro Tools, do the building like I showed you, then use polybrush to do the smoothing and paint the texture. Again, the polybrush texture used to come supplied with polybrush, and you go into Package Manager and install the shaders as well. But you couldn't, and that again, that took me over a day to track those down. And then it's not just a case of tracking them down, tracked them down. You have to make them work. I had to configure them in here. Again, you guys don't have to worry about that because I will just give you the use the shader. Yeah. So, so yeah, that's the recap, and that's it. Yeah, Pirates Gold. Yeah, I was thinking of you, Brad, actually, in the cave. Cool. Yeah. Well, yeah, like you say, we can do a recap of this, and yeah, anyone wants, because a couple of people have missed it that I know wanted to see it, so I know they haven't just not turned up. They've obviously had to not be here. So yeah, we can have a recap, and anyone that wants to do this and starts to do it in the world and gets stuck, just come to me as normal, and I'll help you out. Cool. Yep. Thanks, everyone. Yep. Take care, everybody.